We talked about it before the Commanders game. We talked about it before the Rams game. We talked about it before the Ravens game, the biggest test the Eagles would face, and they passed it with flying colors. The final score, a little closer than it actually was, 24-19. The Eagles win. They're now 10-2, Rube.
Yeah, 3 weeks in a row now they've given up one of those meaningless touchdowns at the end of the game to make the stats look a little uglier. If you're a stats person, I don't really know any stats people, but yeah, really impressive stuff, Dave. Down in Baltimore, they overcame a lot, down 9-0. Never really got the passing game going. Really didn't get anything going for a while, other than some brief moments. They didn't have the ball much during the game until the very end, but this is a team that just keeps chipping away. They played tremendous defense, I thought, up until the last 3 seconds. They really excelled in every phase against a really good team on the road, down 9 points. This team finds ways to win, and they're fun to watch. I mean, the Ravens are really talented. They're really good. Lamar Jackson is just, I mean, what he's able to do physically is, I've just never seen anyone like him. So, and they got a Hall of Fame running back. So for this defense to do what they did against them, they really, in my book, they held them to 12 points, and they got the late touchdown with 3 seconds left. I thought it was a masterpiece defensively, and they did what they had to do offensively. Heck of a win, 8 straight, 1 shy of the team record, longest winning streak. And they'll go after that Sunday, 1:00 game against the Panthers at the Link.
That'll be a beautiful thing. This is the Eagle Eye Podcast presented by Nissan. He's Reuben Frank. I'm Dave Zangaro. Rube, we'll get into the offense, the defense, special teams. But from a big picture perspective, obviously this is a huge win. But I think the one theme that I'm really seeing with this team right now is toughness. And we see it offensively. We see it defensively. They just wear teams out, and then they finish them off when they need to.
Yeah, and they're, nobody's more physical than the Ravens. And I think somebody, I don't know if you were in there for Nick, somebody asked him if they tried to match the Ravens' physicality, and Nick was wasn't real happy with the question. He said, you might want to rephrase it. I think the Ravens tried to match our physicality, and I think he's right. And
yeah.
And they just bring it on both sides of the ball at every position, that physicality. And yeah, I think it really showed it showed with the O-line, it showed with the D-line, the linebackers today. The Eagles were the more physical team against a team that's kind of made its hallmark. Corner. I'm sorry?
The nickel corner?
Yeah.
It showed with him too.
Yeah. That he's something else. But it was everybody. And this is as impressive a win, I think, as they've had during the Nick era, just because, like, you look at the schedule, and I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but I don't see a lot of losses coming up. And I thought this was, the Rams are good, and that was on the road, West Coast, and Washington had been playing really well, but I thought it was the biggest test they've had. 2 MVP candidates on that team, and they just dominated them.
Yeah, I agree with that. To me, like, I looked at the schedule before this game, and I thought this was the toughest game. And that's not to take anything away from Pittsburgh or Washington. Again, they have to face them. It's tough to beat a division team twice. But to me, this was the biggest test because of those weapons. Because you have Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson and an offense that really was the best offense in the league. Just what an impressive performance from the Eagles. And right now, like, they should be feeling themselves a little bit. It was funny. I got down to the locker room, and Howie comes running through, and he's telling them to cue up the Michael Jackson music. Like, they should be feeling good about themselves because what they're doing right now is really impressive. And, they're clearly one of the best teams in the league.
Yeah, it's going to take, I know, Detroit's really good, and the Vikings are good, and Packers are playing well. But there's nobody in the conference that I look at and I say the Eagles wouldn't be favored against that team. Detroit, maybe, I don't know how the betting stuff works. If the game's in Detroit, I guess the Lions would be favored, but
they'd be favored.
I would feel like the Eagles would beat any team in the conference right now. And that's saying a lot, but they're just, they're not just winning. They're dominating people in the second half. They're, what are they, 5-1 on the road, and those five wins have come by an average of 30-13 on the road. To play on the road at that level just speaks volumes for a team's focus and discipline, and you're going into a hostile environment and playing at that level. There's just so much to like about this team, and they have different ways of winning. You know, they can win. I mean, obviously they've won games with Jalen, and even when his numbers are modest, he can win games for you. This defense can sure win games for you, and that number 26, man, he can win a lot of games for you. So I think that makes him really, really dangerous. It's not one thing that they have going for him right now. It's everything.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And there obviously is a formula that has developed with this team. And the big question in this game was, can that formula work against this team in particular, the number one run defense in the NFL? Like, how's that going to work with the team that has been so heavy on the run since the bye week? And we saw how it worked. Like, they did bottle them up for a little bit, but Saquon's kind of inevitable. And it feels like you're just waiting for him to break one. And there were like chips coming away on that final drive or that last touchdown drive. And then he puts in the high gear, the 25-yarder. And it's like you expected at this point.
Yeah, against the best defense or best run defense in the league, it doesn't surprise you when he goes 25 yards for a touchdown. The one that really, he had that 14-yarder, I think, on the first play of that drive. And that's when I was like, you know what? They're not going to stop him. I mean, they're going to go down and they're going to run the ball and they're going to score here and the game's going to be over. And it's exactly what happened. I've never seen a running back who's so good at the end of games. And LeSean's got the NFL record for most 40-yard touchdowns in the fourth quarter in a career. So, I mean, he was great at it. But Saquon, I mean, every week he's just got a big, long run in the fourth quarter, some weeks more than one. I know. I saw Reggie White. I covered Reggie White. Saquon's the best player I've ever seen. He's just the best player I've ever seen. Period. He's only played 12 games in Eagles uniform. 12 games? I don't even know. What are they, 10-2?
Yeah, they're 12 games in.
But I mean, the level he's playing at, to rush for 107 against a team that hadn't allowed anybody more than 63 yards.
Yeah, and that was Najee Harris, right?
Najee Harris, yeah. And he averaged like 3.5 on those 63 yards. He had 67 in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Now, he had more yards in the fourth quarter than anybody's had in a game against him.
107 feels like 170 against this team.
It really does. And I think in a lot of ways, I'm more impressed with 107 and a touchdown against the Ravens than, I mean, I can't say than 255.
I thought you were going to go there, and I was like, don't you dare say it.
But, you know, like he routinely has $140, $150. But this to me, just because of what you said, they just kept chipping away. And you know it's coming. And the O-line, I just, you know, any conversation about Saquon has to start with the O-line because they get stronger too. It's why Saquon looks stronger as games go on. And the interior, those three interior guys, I think, well, like we've always known Mulata and Lane have been as good as any tackles in the league, but those three guys in the middle are just playing better and better. Two of them are at new positions. So, I mean, Mekhi Becton is just playing really, really well right now. They all are. So they're wearing people out. They're wearing people down. And, you know, used the word physicality earlier. And I think by the end of games, I don't care who you are, they've got you where they want you because they're just so physical. They manhandle you for 50 minutes. And those last 10 minutes, like, just like, all right, enough. Just go get your touchdown.
Yeah, I really do think this is a battle of two physical teams, but one kind of reigns supreme, and that was the Eagles. And I don't know if I know the Lions are a really physical team. That would make for a really fun NFC Championship game. But so far during this win streak, no other team has been able to play up to that level of physicality.
Yeah, and I think one big difference between this team and last year's team is conditioning and the ability to maintain that physicality late in games. And that's something last year's team couldn't do. I think they're better conditioned significantly. And, you know, I don't know how much of that is longer practices in the summer or just guys saying, you know what happened last year? I got to make sure that doesn't happen again. I got to be in better shape. But whatever it is, I mean, they are extremely fit team that is able to play at a high level when when they've been playing 50, 60 snaps. And that's rare.
Yeah. And we always hear it. It's like not who's toughest, but who's toughest longest. And with this team and the way they close out in the fourth quarter, like they're clearly tougher longer than the other teams.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
It's
All
a
right, let's get
heck of a
into
formula.
the offense a little bit. We mentioned Saquon, 23 carries, 107 yards, and the touchdown. Jalen Hurts in the stat sheet, not a big game. 11 completions on 19 attempts, 118 yards. He had that touchdown throw to Dallas Goedert. AJ Brown had 5 catches for 66 yards. He had
All in the
44 of
second
them.
quarter. All in the second quarter.
Yeah, and he had 44 of them on that one touchdown drive. When they needed him, he came through. So, like, those numbers, they don't blow you away. I thought it was very telling after the game, just how, I don't know if you guys carried this on post game, but Nick Sirianni kind of got ahead of this and said, like, Jalen is playing really well. Now, I know the numbers aren't there, but he's doing exactly what we need him to do. He's playing clean football. Yes, he's managing the game. I know that that kind of comes with a negative connotation at times, but I thought it was telling that Nick went out of his way to not just say that Jalen's playing well, but he thinks Jalen should be an MVP candidate as well.
Yeah, I thought Jalen was a little off early. And the Ravens will do that to any quarterback. It's just tough when they never had the ball. They just didn't have many plays. And I think it's tough for a quarterback to get into a rhythm when he's on the bench, when he's not throwing the ball. And
I thought they had a really good plan early to get the ball to Will Shipley, Britton Covey, and Paris Campbell.
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't love that. But I mean, look, they really missed Devontae to get out of there with 2 wins without a really, really good receiver. And they're thin there. And Johnny Wilson wasn't playing. I'm not sure how big a loss that is, but they just, Jahan Dotson hasn't, had a couple big catches, but hasn't been what they hoped for. And they just don't have anybody. I think Dotson had 1 7-yard catch, and that was it for the receivers other than AJ, the wide receiver. So he can't come back soon enough. They really need him for this offense to operate at a high level.
Yeah, and with Devontae, everything we're hearing was that he was like kind of pushing to play, but he just wasn't ready. They had to hold him back, kind of against his will. I think he wanted to play in this one, but it's a hamstring, soft tissue. You got to be really careful. So he was out here doing some warm up early before the game, but it was pretty clear he wasn't playing. There was no even like trainer watching him. He was just running around a little bit. So I think they'll get him back next week, and that'll be a big boost.
Yeah, he did have a significant role in the game, though, that we'll get to. Were you there for Nick? Did you hear about Devontae?
No, I can't go to Nick ever because I have to be in the locker room. What happened?
Gotcha. Well, it was Devontae that convinced Nick to go for it on 4th down. After
really?
the tush push didn't work on 3rd down, Devontae went up to Nick and said, "Oh, just go for it. We'll get it." And Nick said he was kind of 50-50 on it. And when Devontae said that, he's like, this guy's not even playing. And he said Devontae's not even involved in the play when he is on the field. But he said Devontae actually talked him into going for it, which certainly paid off. They got like 4 yards on the play.
Oh, man, if Devontae misses another week, maybe we'll give him the red flag too, and he can take over some of the duties.
Not a bad idea.
Yeah. I thought you mentioned Jalen's slow start. No doubt about it. He was 1 for 5 in the first quarter. Second quarter really turned things around. I thought they really used the play action effectively in the second quarter. They used some tempo to kind of just get into a rhythm. I think he was 8 for 9
Right.
in the second quarter. Much better. Like there was a clear difference quarter 1 to quarter 2. I thought they adjusted well on the fly. We always talk about halftime adjustments, but you can adjust series to series too. And I thought they did that pretty well. The tempo helped. There was one play. It was a 15-yarder AJ Brown. It was an under center play action, middle of the field pass. It was like, holy cow, what's going on here? What team is this? But it was what they needed, and it kind of pulled them out of it.
Yeah, and it's got to be tough for AJ. I mean, how many targets did he have?
6.
6 targets. I mean, I really thought the passing game was going to be big. I mean, the Ravens are 31st in pass defense. They're not very good. Their secondary isn't great, but they just kind of never really got going. I don't know how many passing yards they had in the second half, but it couldn't have been very much. I will figure it out if I have the time. If I only had the time to tell you, 104 in the first half. So they only had 14 passing yards in the second half. Mm-hmm. I mean, they didn't run any plays in the third quarter, and they ran the ball in the fourth quarter. So I think Jalen's thrown something like 13 passes in the fourth quarter in the last 6 games, something crazy. This is a really weird way they have of winning football games, but it works for them.
Yeah, and it does take some selflessness from guys like AJ Brown and Devontae Smith, who is a little more vocal than AJ even about wanting the football, and Dallas Goedert, like he's still involved, obviously, in the blocking aspect of it. But it's funny. AJ after the game is like, we're waiting to talk to me. He's like, I didn't do anything. Like, yes, you did. You had 66 yards. He had 44 yards on a really crucial touchdown. He's contributing. And could he have had more in this game? Absolutely. He just didn't need to.
Yeah. But they're going to need him, and they're going to need Jalen. They're going to need the passing offense at some point.
Yeah. I thought it would be today.
I thought so too. And
it wasn't. It was just, this was kind of a weird game. I thought the defense played outstanding, and it put the offense in a situation where they could play the way they did. And it really, I mean, the defense helped the offense early because they were keeping them close. It was 9-0 at one point, but then the defense gets a stop on a short field, like good complementary football. We always talk about this, right? You have the punt down to the 1, defense stops them, forces a punt, short field, the offense finally gets it going. They use that tempo, they get in the end zone, touchdown. Whole game is different. And that's like all 3 phases contributing.
Yeah, we'll talk about the defense soon, but I thought that stand there at the beginning of the second quarter was just really masterful defense, team defense. Those 3 plays, it was, that was like, it's almost like, like the big kids got out of school. You're playing the Ravens now. Like this isn't, the Giants or this isn't Cooper Rush or, I mean, this is Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson, and you stuffed them in a critical. I thought that was, I mean, it was 9-0 there. So if they get a first down there, I mean, who knows? Probably wouldn't kick a field goal because your favorite player in history can't make one.
Yeah.
But
no, Tressway is my favorite player in NFL
history. he's moved into the top spot, but I just thought that was a pivotal moment in the game. And you're right. I think the Eagles' next drive started right around midfield, I believe.
I think they were at the plus 49. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. And and then they punch it in 6 plays, and that's complimentary football, and that's something they weren't doing last year.
Yeah. Anything else on offense we have to hit?
No, I don't think so. It wasn't a lot. They didn't run many. How many plays did they have? They only ran 54 offensive plays. Ravens had 71. It's a low number.
54 plays. They had the ball 26 minutes. Ravens had it almost 34.
Yeah, and it was even more one-sided before that last drive, the Eagles' last drive. They found a way. If you look at some of the stats, they got outgained by 100 yards. I mean, a lot of that was that garbage time in the last minute. But if you looked at the stats, you'd say the Eagles lost this game, and they won it resoundingly.
Yeah, and give them credit for that touchdown drive that got capped by that the Saquon, because before that, 2 punts, 2 3-and-outs to start the second half. It was a little ugly too. It was like a lot of pressure in Jalen's face. There was just nothing there. He can't escape it. So then to come back and kind of go into 4-minute mode there was really impressive.
It was, no doubt.
Anything else on offense? Dallas Goedert left the game with a knee injury, did not return. Talked to him after the game as he was walking out. He said he's fine. We'll see. I think some of that's always like, it's not a season ender, but we'll see like his availability next week. But it didn't look like a super significant injury.
They sure need him.
Yeah, they do. With no Ben Van Sumeren, we'll talk about that a little bit, I guess. But they had Grant Calcaterra as the lead blocker. He's probably not super suited for it, but there was one play they line up in I, and he kind of got out in front and threw his weight around a little bit. It wasn't a bad play.
Effort's there. The effort's definitely there.
Yeah. Early on, I thought the play calling was very strange. Like, what Will Shipley's getting the ball. Well, I don't mind the 2 running back package, but Will Shipley's going to touch the ball. You're going to have a pass attempt for Paris Campbell. You're going to go to Britton Covey on a crucial 3rd down.
Paris Campbell in triple coverage.
It was just a little wacky.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, you got AJ Brown. Maybe get the ball to 11.
I'm guessing that was, they're just like, we can't just throw it to AJ, but they got to the point where it's just like, let's just throw it to AJ.
Yeah. And then I think the first catch AJ Brown had was a slant, and it's like, yeah, that's that's always there. The slant, the deep digs, like those are his money plays, and he's going to kind of make them most of the time.
and he just runs over people. That his yards after the catch are always fun because he's running with an attitude like, I know I'm not going to get the ball very many times, so I'm just going to trample you when I have the opportunity.
Yeah, he caught that one, and we've talked about this. He's just so good creating after the catch. Like, his back is turned, he catches the football. That DB should be able to tackle him. He's got his back turned to him, but AJ just always seems to have the right feel to get out of that. And this week, like, it was actually after our last podcast, but I asked him about that, and he's basically like, I'm not getting that many opportunities. I'm trying to maximize them. He's among the league leaders in uh, yards after contact over expected. So, like, some yak is like created by the scheme and on time placement. Like, he's just creating extra yards out of nowhere, which is a lot of will, but it's also like he has a knack for it.
Yeah, no doubt. He's fun to watch. And, hopefully they get back to the point where he's getting his 10, 12 targets. I'm not sure when that'll happen, but you like to see it.
Yeah. All right, let's take a little break. We'll talk defense and special teams on the other side.
You deserve a car that thrills you, a car that puts goosebumps on your goosebumps. At Nissan, we got everything from turbocharged SUVs to 100% electric vehicles that'll make your heart beat faster. Experience the thrill for yourself and shop your local Nissan store at nissanusa.com today.
Celebrity cook Steve Martorano brings his Italian-American cooking back home to Philly. Enjoy Martorano's Prime at Rivers Casino and Steve's famous meatballs with Sunday gravy, prime steaks, and more. Make reservations at Martorano's Prime on Open Table. All right, we're back. The Ravens ended up with 372 yards of offense. You see that and you think, uh-oh, this Eagles defense got lit up. No, I mean, they bent a little bit during this game, but they certainly didn't break. The Ravens were 2 for 5 in the red zone, and one of those came at the very end of the game. So really 1 for 4 in the red zone. And that's, I mean, they were the best red zone team in the league coming into this game. The Eagles were so good in that tight area.
Yeah, you're right. And a lot of that's tackling. A lot of that's big hits. A lot of that is just having Jalen Carter on your side, who's just, I mean, I just can't, I don't have words to describe how well he's playing, how disruptive he's been. But you're right. And I think 70 of those 372 came in the last minute. They got the ball back and went down and scored. Lamar had a long run in there. I don't know how long it was. It was clear holding, by the way, on Jalen Carter on that play. And I mean, the guy grabbed his shirt.
They threw a
flag.
If I'm Clint Hurt, I think that's the week of practice this week for Jalen Carter. Work on selling some of these holds.
Yeah.
And I'm half joking about this, but like, I really do think he's got to start being a little more emphatic, like look like he's really, because he's getting held on every play. Like, he's got to start selling it a little more, I think, honestly.
Yeah, you're probably right. And especially when there's I don't know how 50-yard run or whatever. I mean, and the official saw it and threw a flag, then went over and picked it up. Like, where's your integrity? Like, I mean, that's off topic, but yeah, I don't know if I've ever seen a more deceptive 372 yards because the defense was just lights out. They got every big stop. They didn't create any turnovers. I thought they pressured really well. They sacked Lamar a few times. And Derrick Henry had 82 yards on 19 carries, but never really killed him. He had a long run of 19 in the first half. He was actually, I scribbled this down somewhere. He was 6 for 36 in the first quarter, and then just averaged 3.4 yards per carry after that. I thought they were really physical with him. I think one of the keys with Derrick Henry is like his legs are so powerful, and he just likes to keep his legs and feet moving. And if you try to tackle him up high, he'll just break out of that. And they tackled him low. They got his feet, they got his legs, and they didn't let him keep his legs moving, keep his legs churning. And there were a lot of really big plays, like a lot of 3-yard gains, 2-yard gains, where he just never got into gear. And that's his game is just keeping his legs moving. And you might have him wrapped up, and he breaks out of it and gets 15 yards. I mean, he's having a great year, and they made him look average.
Totally agree. Two plays on defense I want to highlight. There are plenty of them, but the sack from Zach Bond, and he ended up splitting it with Jalex Hunt, kind of a race to the quarterback there. But the play from Zach Bond to see the chip coming, kind of sidestep him, get out of the way of that chip, and to still get after Lamar and take him down. Man, what is it about Zach Bond on third down? He comes through at these like crucial situations.
Yeah. I don't know, but he's so clutch. You forget this is a guy who's played this position for 12 games now. He's still new at this. There's a lot of guys 12 games into their career at a new position. They're not even on the field. They're not backup or something. He's playing at a Pro Bowl level. I think I'm now leaning toward Jalen Carter's my defensive MVP, but it's close, and they're both playing so well and just so many big plays at big moments, and you love to see that. Did Jalen Carter, do you know if he played every snap again, or was he out on that last drive?
I have this is the PFF, like the running total. They have him at 71 of 72.
It's incredible, and to think that his conditioning was a question when he came into the league, and he's out there every play and making plays late. But yeah, I thought Bond was incredible. I mean, my favorite defensive. I mentioned that first series in the second quarter. I think they got 5 yards on first down. I think it was a completion to Mark Andrews, and then I believe Derrick Henry around right end and Blankenship just stuffed him, and then Lamar was pressured on third down, threw incomplete.
Bad throw.
It was a bad throw, but he was rushed into it. He was off, but I mean, I think a lot of that was they hit him a lot, they pressured him. I love Jalen Carter's. He just, Vic Fangio likes to say, just grab a body part and get the guy down. And he just grabbed his foot and just hung on for dear life. And Lamar went down. And I think that was my favorite defensive play today. But there were a lot of them for a game that didn't have any takeaways.
Yeah.
There's some real signature moments for this defense. I just thought they played so hard and so physical and so sound. Just they tackled. They were rarely out of position. And then you see a guy like Tristan McCullum come in when Blankenship had his concussion and knocked down that fourth down pass to Zay Flowers, and he was smart enough not to intercept it, which had cost him third. Well, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt.
I don't know if he was trying to knock that down.
He was trying to intercept it, but it worked out better for field position, like 20 yards better. But that
although there was a lot of green in front of him.
Yeah,
if he catches that.
Yeah, no doubt. But yeah, I think that says a lot about this defense and a guy. I mean, he hasn't played a whole lot. He's played like 93 snaps in his career, and going back to I think he was with the Texans as a rookie. He hasn't played safety, and Vic just talked about how why he's ahead of Sidney as that next safety in, and man, he showed it. That was a clutch play. The game was. Look, I don't think the Ravens were going to win at that point, but that was a ball game right there. That's fourth down. Eagles got great field position, got the ball back. That says a lot about the kids' preparation and the coaches' ability to get everybody ready, and that's not a common thing.
Yeah, my favorite defensive play, no question about it. Cooper DeJean throw to the flat to Derrick Henry, 250-pound Derrick Henry. Cooper DeJean lifts him off the ground and slams him.
Did.
I mean, talk about physicality. That's an insane play.
Cooper DeJean was incredible tonight. I mean, he just keeps getting better and better. I mean, he's not going to win Defensive Rookie of the Year, but he's having as good a year as maybe not. It's hard to compare. He's been as good as Quignon, I believe, in what he's being asked to do. He's a real tone setter with his physicality, and the thing about Cooper DeJean, have you ever seen him in the wrong place? Have you ever seen him like looking around and doing like the Namdi shrug, like the Kirk Coleman, like wait, I was supposed. Well, you were supposed. I mean, he's
there was
always
one play last week when he got lost in the sauce a little bit. Some of those pre-snap motions with the Rams.
Yeah,
that's really it.
Yeah, I mean, he's just so solid, and this is not an easy defense to learn. This is not a simple defense, and to have two rookies playing at such a high level within that, and Vic not having to dumb anything down, that's rare, and they've handled everything that's been thrown at them.
And it's especially tough at the nickel corner spot because there's, you're playing boundary corner. Yes, you have to know different techniques and that sort of thing. But, I mean, you have the sideline to help you. Not that it's easier. It's a hard life out there when you're one-on-one against some of the best receivers in the league. But from a computing standpoint, playing the nickel in this defense, it puts a lot on your plate. So the fact that Cooper Jean's been able to handle it as well as he has is really impressive.
It really is. And yeah, you can see why they would have picked him in the first round and he would have been a good first round pick if they did.
Yeah. You look at this game, I thought there were some moments where the Eagles weren't getting a lot of pressure early, but overall I thought they pressured Lamar pretty well. It came from a little bit of everywhere. We saw them run some of those sim pressures. We saw some good snaps from Josh Sweat and Nolan Smith, who had another sack. I thought Jalix Hunt gave them a little bit. Obviously, Jalen Carter played well. I thought Jordan Davis had a good game against the run in this one. There were a lot more opportunities for a 5-man front, so we saw him more snaps in this game, but I thought he handled it really well.
There was a play where Lamar rolled out to his left, and Jordan Davis closed he closed in so he couldn't run down the sideline. And I mean, that says a lot about his, where he is conditioning wise. I mean, that was late in the game too. I think it was in the third quarter. But yeah, I thought he played well. Nolan had another sack and a tackle for loss. Who had their sacks? Jalen had, I guess he's got 4.5 now. He's putting together quite a year. I think he's got 12 tackles for loss. Got to make the Pro Bowl. And then, Jalix split the sack with Zach Bond. I thought they pressured really.
I was talking to Jalix after the game, and I was like, I saw you with the half sack. And he's like, yeah, it was a race, and I'm not going to beat Zach Bond. Zach is too quick.
Yeah. Yeah, and, this is the first game I was thinking about. This is the first game since 2009 that they've played without Fletcher, Kelsey, or BG, which is that just kind of occurred to me that these three guys have been such a pillars for this organization, all-time greats. And it's the first time we've been without them for 15 years. And, the thing just keeps moving on. And it's impressive to win. Look, I don't think it was easy for anybody when BG got hurt, whether it was players or coaches or us as media. But to win like this and play like this as a defense, Fletcher retires and you got Jalen Carter. Kelsey retires. Cam Jurgens is playing, I thought, great football the last month. You lose BG, and Jalix Hunt steps up and makes some plays. That's what you have to do to be a team.
Wanted to give Milton Williams a shout out to. I thought he played really well in this game. A bunch of pressures. Didn't get home, but man, I thought he played extremely well.
Yeah, even Avonte Maddox hung in there on that deep ball to Nelly.
Yeah, I mean, the previous play was a defensive hold. He had 2 snaps in this game.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. But that was like something out of 2018 Eagles training camp.
Yeah.
Maddox on Nelly.
I have the early snap counts here. I wanted to go through them with you because we're wondering who takes BG's snaps. The answer is Nolan Smith. He played 58 of 72 in this game. He actually played more than Josh Sweat.
Interesting. I asked Vic about, because Vic had said he doesn't foresee Sweat playing more than he has been. Mm-hmm. And I followed up and said, well, what about Nolan? He says, I think Nolan could play a little more. He's been averaging 44. So today he played, 70 something, high 70s. So, and I thought he played well. I thought he played really well. What did he have? He had a sack, 8 tackles, tackle for loss, quarterback hit. He's a good player. Yeah.
Looking at the other edge players, Jalix Hunt played 35.
Wow, career high.
Did not see the new guy, Chuck Harris, out there on defense. So probably still working him in a little bit. At defensive tackle, they had obviously Jalen Carter. And it was the last snap of the game he came out. He had played 71 straight snaps. It took him out in the very last one.
So he had played something like 200 consecutive snaps until that one.
Yeah, it's insane. So he played a ton. Milton Williams played 41 of 72. He was next. Jordan Davis was after that, 24 of 72. Moro Ojima played 20. Thomas Booker got 4.
Okay. Yeah. Good balance right there.
Yeah, I thought in general, the linebackers played well again today. It was more of a flashy Zach Bond game. It seems like him and Nakobe take turns having these big flash games, but they both played well.
Yeah, and they have been routinely.
Yeah. Nakobe did have to leave briefly. Oren Burks came on the field. He just got the wind knocked out of him.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw Oren Burks out there for just one play, was it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Special teams?
Yeah, a couple of early penalties.
Yeah, 2 on Keely Ringo, but then he made up for it. He had a great play, forced a fumble. Unlucky for this is a weird game. There were 5 fumbles in this game, and none were taken away.
None were takeaways. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and if the Eagles got any one of those Baltimore fumbles, could have really given them a little more breathing room. But yeah, and then was it Sidney or Keely who downed the ball at the 1 in the second quarter? There, that was
I
big.
think it was Sidney, but I mean, it was a good play. How about Braden Mann?
Yeah,
what a game from the punter. I mean, this is probably his best game as an Eagle. I don't want to spend a ton of time on the punter, but he had 6 punts, average of 51.2, long of 58, downed 5 of those 6 inside the 20, 2 of them inside the 10.
Yeah, he was really good. And he hasn't been, I mean, overall hasn't been quite as good this year as last year. Hasn't been bad by any means, but yeah, he was in field position in a game like this. When you're playing a team like the Ravens and that offense, field position's huge. And yeah, I thought that kind of overcame the lack of takeaways was field position and make them. I forget how Nick put it. You know, we really made them work on each drive, and they had like 3 long drives that didn't net any points. And that, Braden Mann has a big role in that.
Yeah, that was huge, and it was cool. I was talking to Zach Bond after the game, and he brought it up on his own. He's like, "Look, I'm a big part of special teams. I've done that a lot in my career. Kicking game was big today."
Yeah,
and you look at special teams. I mean, Justin Tucker was just off.
Did you have a good chat with him? Did he come up to you looking for guidance?
He did not, but I mean, what a weird thing! Like the best kicker in NFL history, and it's just like slipping away from him.
Yeah, and it wasn't just tonight. I mean, it's been really since last year. Kickers are weird. I mean, it comes and goes, and that's why so many of them bounce around from team to team. I mean, I've talked about Paul McFadden, who he was the most accurate kicker in NFL history. His first 2 years with the Eagles, a year and a half later, is out of the league. I think it's just really hard to stay good at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so not a great game from Justin Tucker, but that one sack kind of pushed him out. I mean, he might make it if it's not a sack there.
Yeah, no doubt.
Britton Covey left the game. Don't know status on him. He was listed as questionable, and then there weren't punts after that. So don't know. Other injuries in this one, Reed Blankenship left with a concussion. Like we mentioned, Tristan McCollum stepped in and did a really nice job. There was the Dallas Goedert knee injury. He was walking around fine. Doesn't say everything, but it didn't seem like a super serious type of injury. Quinyon Mitchell left briefly.
It looked scary.
It did. He got rolled up on, and then you see him go to the sideline. He goes into the blue tent, and then he's like running on the sideline. Didn't miss a lot of time. Give him credit. He got back in there. Might be a little sore this week, but man, they dodged the bullet there.
Yeah, no doubt. That was scary.
Yeah, because at one point you're looking out there and you go, "Oh, they got Isaiah Rodgers on one side and Keely Ringo on another." But you can never have too many corners. We've seen this team before in previous years. Like that's one position, that and offensive line. You start getting the injuries there, it can go downhill quick.
Yeah, we've seen that happen.
Yeah, but I think they're built better for that. I mean, to have Isaiah Rodgers and Keely Ringo as your top backup corners is a pretty good spot to be in.
Yeah, now half their starting secondaries in the protocol right now, so I would think they'd have Slay back. We'll see. Reed, this is a couple concussions for him this year, right? He had one earlier. Am I right?
I don't know
or
actually.
was it last year? But anyway,
I think he's played every game this year.
okay. Um, yeah, scary stuff. That was I think he got an accidental knee. It might have been I think it was friendly fire on that one. Um, I think it might have been Zach Baughn's knee hit him in the head. Could be, but yeah, hopefully he's back soon. He's been really solid too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anything else that we missed here?
I don't think so. No. I mean, you look at the schedule, and now you just got to be. I mean, they're going to be favored every week. They've won 8 straight. I keep saying at some point they're going to lose a game, but maybe they won't. I mean, they should win the division games. Carolina, Pittsburgh, they're good. They scored a lot of points today, but I don't know what to make of them quite. I don't think they're a great team. They have a good record. Got games home.
The Panthers played the Bucks tough today,
and they played the Chiefs tough last week, so they're playing better.
Yeah, in a way that almost helps because they're not a good team, but like you see them put in these good efforts week after week, you can't take them lightly, and that's going to be a big trick. It's like sometimes it's easier to get up for a game like this than it is when you're playing, the Panthers or the Giants, teams that are kind of in the basement of their divisions. Like you got to get up for those too, because like the Panthers are playing like decent ball right now. Bryce Young doesn't look like a lost cause anymore.
No, he doesn't. He's been playing well. So you got to have, and I think Nick's really good about this. You got to have the exact same commitment this week as you had last week, and I think this team does that. They don't. I mean, we'll see. We'll see how it goes Sunday afternoon, but I don't see them having any sort of letdown or looking past the Panthers. They just don't seem to be wired that way. Now, it doesn't help that the guys who always remind the young guys like BG and Fletch and Kelsey aren't around, but you still have veterans who are going to remind them, you got to keep doing the same things you've been doing. I think they understand that. And I don't see this as a team that's going to let 8 straight wins get to their head. They're going to keep doing the things that got them here.
Yeah. That's a good little note though. BG is around. He was here at this game today, went out for the coin toss. I noticed as he came back in to the tunnel and into the locker room, he was wearing cleats today. And then we get in the locker room and he's got a towel on. He just showered. Like it's like he's playing. But yeah, I mean, he's around as much as he can possibly be for a guy who's not going to be able to play anymore.
Yeah. Good for him. I'm sure it's therapeutic just being around the team and probably anything, just showering, and it's like just sitting in a locker showering and kind of going out for the coin toss, whatever it is. I'm sure it feels good for him. It's got to be a really tough time.
Yeah, a few other little odds and ends from the locker room. Talked to AJ Brown. I mentioned that he gave a great quote about Saquon. I was like, does it just feel like he's going to do this in every fourth quarter? And it's like, yeah. And this is what AJ said. Late in the game, we'd be telling him, go on, put your cape on, hurry up, let him out. He did exactly that. And I was like, do you actually tell him to put his cape on? He's like, oh yeah. Like we literally tell him that on the sideline, put your cape on.
Great stuff.
Yeah. I think that's just about all I had from the locker room. It's fun to be in these visitor locker rooms after a win because they are the tiniest. It feels like you're in a high school locker room, right down to like the clock on the wall, like in a cage looks like, it looks like you're in a high school and they're so tiny, but I think it's good for camaraderie. Like they get in this little tight and confined area. They're playing it like after these wins now this year, it's been a lot of Michael Jackson, a lot of Stevie Wonder have kind of been like have fun music after these wins. The vibes are good right now.
Well, we got Rod Wave and Moneybag Yo playing right now, right through this wall.
Oh, I'm sorry to keep you. Yeah,
I can hear them.
That's good.
They were so loud we could hear them in the studio, which is soundproofed.
Wow.
We thought like there was a flyover, and it was actually the concert.
Good performance by Frisbee Dogs at halftime.
The two things I thought of were Justin Tucker missing 3 kicks and the Frisbee Dogs.
Yeah.
Because I know those are two of your favorite things, Justin Tucker and Frisbee dogs.
Yeah. The Frisbee dogs perform better than Justin Tucker.
Yeah, video. Did you post any video?
I did not.
Really?
I was watching. Yeah. I had to go to the bathroom at halftime, but I was like, I also want to watch Frisbee dogs. It was a tough dilemma. I like the stadium. Good little stadium.
It is a good stadium.
Yeah, it's like in a neighborhood in Baltimore.
Yeah.
The traffic killed me on the way here. Forgot that it was Thanksgiving weekend. Just sitting in traffic on 95. It was brutal.
Welcome to every day.
Yeah, it's funny because I texted Mike Mulhern, our pre and post producer, about my first hit, and I was like, it's going to be a little tight. I'm hoping, but normally I come up to the press box and I like get settled and do all my notes. Today I had to go right to the field and just do it.
Well, you did fine.
All right.
No worries.
Thank you. Any other final words before we wrap this up?
No, I don't think so. Longest winning streak in team history is 9 games, so they're one shy of that. They did that in 1960, 2003, and 2017 with Carson Wentz starting all 9 of those games.
Yeah, how about that? All right, if you have a question for us, email us at eagleeye@nbcuni.com. I'll leave that QR code up there. You can scan it real quick, pause it on YouTube, scan it, and send it that way. I'm sure, I haven't checked yet. I'm sure they're rolling in already. We don't answer them on the post-game pod. We'll get to them on Tuesday and Thursday of the week. This is also a reminder, if you enjoy the Eagle Eye podcast, please rate and subscribe wherever you get your pods. If you're watching on YouTube, please click the like button and subscribe there as well. That's it. The Eagles are 10-2 as they head back to face the Carolina Panthers next week. For Rube, I'm Dave. This has been Eagle Eye, presented by Nissan. We'll talk to you soon.